This is a story about BirdieLight, about fentanyl, and about my son, Eli Weinstock, who died in March of 2021, just a few blocks from the campus of American University. He was in his sophomore year. On the evening of March 2nd, Eli was planning to go out with his fraternity brothers. He was looking forward to hanging with his friends. We found out about Eli's death when the police officer came to our back door and told us on our back porch that Eli had died, which was devastating, as you can imagine, and also unspeakable. And we really went into survival mode at that point, our family, and entered this sort of awful space that we're still in. But the one thing that really kept us going in those months after his death was that we needed answers. It took us 3 months to learn that Eli had died from an unintentional fentanyl poisoning. Our son was murdered. The only other substance found in his body was kratom, an herbal substance that is legal in Washington, D.C. Eli didn't struggle with a substance use disorder. He was focused on his future. He had lots of friends, 3.7 GPA. He'd lined up an internship for the summer, and he was thriving. He was focused on his future. If you knew him, you would have loved Eli Weinstock. He's the funniest person I've ever known. He loved Quentin Tarantino films, hip-hop, playing poker. He could dance like nobody's business.
Probably about 6 months after Eli's passing, we were actually at his gravesite one night. It was a summer night, and we just felt compelled to do something, and we launched BirdieLight.
Fentanyl is now the leading cause of death for Americans age 18 to 45. Last year alone, in a 12-month period, nearly 80,000 people died just due to fentanyl ingestion alone. The fact is, fentanyl is the greatest public health crisis this generation is facing. Numbers don't lie.
What you see on the tip of this pencil is a fatal dose of fentanyl. That's all it takes. And most of this deadly drug ends up in fake or counterfeit pills or powders such as cocaine. Here's a Xanax pill. Say a kid buys it through social media, could be Snapchat, TikTok, whatever it is, and it looks realistic, right? This pill is counterfeit. This is real Xanax on the right. The pill on the left is fake, and there's a 20% chance that it contains fentanyl.
Well, BirdieLight's solution to the fentanyl crisis is education, education, education. We aren't going to get anywhere with this crisis until we educate young people about what fentanyl is, where it's found, and how to stay safe from it. We don't want fentanyl conversations to be taboo any longer. We want to move them out into the open, just like we do with drunk driving conversations or encouragement to wear seatbelts.
I also need to stress to you that it's uncommon for a young person.
We're traveling across the country, speaking to colleges, high schools, educators, healthcare professionals, and civic groups. The message? We don't just have a substance abuse crisis on our hands. We have a poisoning crisis.
We are trying to get that message out there as quickly as we can. And my mom was on CNN with Jake Tapper a few months ago, and it was a great opportunity to tell our story. Bottom line, you should never take anything that doesn't come from your pharmacy or your doctor.
Beyond education, we also distribute and educate about fentanyl test strips, also known as Birdie strips. And we distribute them and teach kids how to use them and test any substance they're about to ingest. And I want to be clear that by no sense as a mother or a doctor do I condone or encourage drug use, but we want to be realistic and practical about how we educate kids and provide them with every possible tool to keep them closer to safe. These are what the test strips look like. Package on the left, test strips on the right. They're very easy to use and are 92 to 96% sensitive at picking up fentanyl in any substance.
Narcan is an essential tool as well. If you're going to take anything, you should tell someone where the Narcan is, tell them what you're taking, and make sure the Narcan is accessible. It's a simple nasal spray, and it directly combats the lethal effects of fentanyl in the brain. Narcan is harmless. You can get Narcan without a prescription from any pharmacy.
This is scary stuff, right? And kids have enough to worry about these days. They have so much pressure on them. And now, with the fentanyl crisis, they're swimming in poisoned waters. And so we center our efforts with BirdieLight in a kind-hearted way and a big-hearted way. We only are here to save lives.
So BirdieLight comes from a nickname that Eli had in middle school. Him and his friends called themselves the Birdies, and it kind of just stuck. And at his memorial service, people wrote notes to Birdie. So, we love you, Birdie. We miss you, Birdie.
And we thought of this nickname that the boys had, the Birdie. And then we thought of the canary in the coal mine that goes down to test first for oxygen. And that was reminiscent of the fentanyl test strip. And we put the two words together and came up with the name BirdieLight. But the real magic happened when we looked at the name, and Olivia can back me up on this. We discovered that Eli, E-L-I, is right in the middle of it. Eli is in the middle of all that we do. And all that we do for Eli.